There's one rule above all others for being a man. Whatever comes, face it on your feet. Yesterday, I finished The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan, the second book in the Wheel of Time, and it was gas, guys. It was just straight gas. I love this book. I genuinely do. And this was really the book upon my first read that convinced me to finish the series no matter what. And upon a second read, it just made it that much richer. This takes the foundation that the Eye of the World built with the world building and the characters and all of that stuff, and it just goes to town. You know what I mean? Like, it just builds a mansion upon the foundation, and it takes the Wheel of Time up an entire other octave. It takes it to another notch entirely, and I just think that this for me is really the catalyst for the rest of the series. There are obviously books in the future that are equally important to The Great Hunt. I would argue that The Dragon Reborn, the next book in the series, is just as important, if not more so, and it just keeps building on that, and building and building and building until you get to a final book. But I feel like The Great Hunt is really, truly the start of everything in this series. This is where everything begins, where everything that truly matters really starts to kick into effect. This is where Rand begins to understand his responsibility as the Dragon Reborn. He doesn't accept it yet, but he's beginning to understand. He's starting to believe, right? And then there are, the side characters. This is really when Perrin starts to lean into, not accepting yet, but lean into the fact that he is a wolf brother. There are certain plot elements that haven't happened yet, but they will matter, right? But this is where it begins. Mat, not a character that you will appreciate upon your first read, but this is really where he begins to grow into his own as a character. Obviously, you see way more of that in book 3, 4, and 5, where he is a heavy character that you see a ton of. But this is where you start to see certain parts of his identity, that reluctant hero that he just so obviously is, start to play an effect. And he really grows into his own. But you start to see it here. You start to see how Egwene becomes who she will be in this book. There are certain traumas and things that happen to her in this book. No spoilers, but certain traumas and things that happen to her in this book that it makes sense as to why she acts the way she does later in the series. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm not saying it's justified, but it's understandable, right? Same thing with Nynaeve. This is the moment when she starts to become the woman she will be by book 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. This really is where these certain plot threads begin. It's where we begin with Elaine. It's where we begin with Min. It's where we begin with the Horn of Valere and that entire plot thread, and how much that matters. And also it's where the Seanchan begins. The Seanchan are a huge element of the Wheel of Time series. They are a fundamental part of this saga, of this story, and their element and the way they haunt the narrative for the next several books is amazing. And it all starts here, and you would never truly think that they are that important because of how this concludes. But man, the payoff that you get with them later is really, really significant. And there's there's just so many just little things in this book that don't get paid off for books to come. But I just feel like this really is the book where it like Robert Jordan really said, this story is gonna go on a while, but trust me, I promise I'm setting up something significant for you guys to read. And in my opinion, it really pays off. Obviously I'm biased. This is my favorite series of all time, but this is really where it starts. The character development, I think, takes it up a notch. I really like Rand, obviously, favorite character of all time. I really like seeing more of Mat upon this reread. My mind is really changed. My opinion of him has really changed in this book specifically. I really like Perrin. there were certain character interactions of those three where it's so easy to actually see their friendship upon a reread. They really are brothers, you know, like, and that is something Robert Jordan, like, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of, because you know, on your first read you're gonna be like, oh, like they don't really get along, but upon a second read you really do see like these guys grew up together. And it's the same with like Egwene and Nynaeve. Like their relationship really is something special, and I think that's something that really blossoms upon a second read, is that you really get that sense of these people really are friends. They grew up together, they care for one another, and that, I don't know, it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel good upon a reread. I really like the plot thread here, the hunt for the Great Horn, or the Horn of Ali rather. I really like this plot. I think the pacing here is really tight. I think that Rand traveling to other worlds is really a really cool element. Again, trying very hard not to spoil it, but there's a chapter in here called what must be, or what could be, or something like that. Some of the best writing in the series, to be honest. I think it's one of the best chapters in the entire series. It's literally, I think that chapter is specifically what made me fall in love with this series, and it was just amazing. And it takes such a simple premise of this idea of seeing alternative realities of you, and just Jordan, the way he wrote it, like, it's just like, there's a paragraph in there, beautiful. It's just beautiful. Again, I don't really want to spoil it, but man, it's good stuff. The thematic work here is great. This struggle of what it means to be a great person, of to be someone who is literally going to cause world-changing just events, is really cool to see. I think like the action here is a step up over the Either World. I love the character dynamics in this. I love the plot here. I love the introduction to Shan-Shan. I think a lot of the side characters start to get highlighted here, and I just think that everything that is good about the Either World, from, you know, the world building to the pacing to the characters to everything else, is just like, it's just taken to an entire other step in The Great Hunt. Like, if you like Either World, you are probably going to love The Great Hunt. Like, I would genuinely be shocked if this were a step down for anyone who liked what Either World offered, because I don't know, like, this really is the book that locked me in, and I think it's going to be the book that locks a lot of people in for the rest of this series. Having said all that, it's like a 9 out of 10. Just liked everything about it, and I'm very excited for The Dragon Reborn, because I remember liking it even more than this one. So we're gonna see what happens, but 9 out of 10.